other different types of dementia, and depending upon where the difficulties lie, that in the illness determines the course of treatment.
Yes, you can. All you have to do is want to do it.
Yes.
Want to be it.
When you set your mind to it, and this is who you are, and
the grown men. We have the youth that we need to mentor, and we need to inspire, and we need to motivate. But I know, as a recent conversation between you and I, that you're also in the business of motivating grown men. Through that, I'm supposed to see God in it at every turn. So me going to the Sea of Galilee was to remind me of that, to refresh myself of that. It is all under control, that He does have it. It's just as clear as that fresh water that I saw.
You're Our Unity, hosted by LeShawn Walker, Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. PST.
Welcome, everyone, to You're Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time. We want to encourage you to make your health a priority. Please go out there and get your checkups done. Go to your annuals, get a mammogram, go get your prostate checked out. Go take care of your body. It is so very important, because though we may feel good and look good, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're good. I am your host, LeShawn Walker. I'd like to welcome you in. Please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know that we're on right now. Please tag a friend. I am so happy to see you guys today. I had a wonderful, amazing weekend. I had some time to relax and some time to just reflect. As you know, it was Memorial Day, so everyone, I think, is just beginning their week today, and they had a nice long weekend like I did. Also, memorializing and remembering the fallen heroes and all those that have served our country yesterday, those like my father, and I'm sure so many of your friends and family members. I was also remembering my best friend, Sandy Cabrera. So I just relaxed this weekend. I just kind of chilled and just had moments with myself and my thoughts, and it was so cool. I also visited a family member in the hospital. So it was just a weekend full of caring for others, as also caring for myself, which is very important. And I hope that you guys are taking the opportunity to do that, especially now that this is May, Mental Health Month, and we are ending it today, or tomorrow rather. I hope you guys are taking the time to just take care of yourself. Go to the doctor, eat well, get some exercise, listen to your body. It is so very important. I mentioned earlier that I had a little health scare, and or rather a health concern, and not to be too insensitive to others, but I've had diabetes for like 5 hours. And I say that because I worried myself sick over a test report that I received. And the test report, was information I needed to know. And I'm so glad that once I got the blood work done, that I was aware of, the many levels that I'm, going on in my body and the things that I need to do. But I read, because diabetes and high blood pressure run in my family. So I check up on it regularly. I'm very vigilant and diligent when it comes to my health. So when the blood work came back, I kind of misread the numbers. And though I'm kind of on the borderline of, pre-diabetes, I did not have the numbers that I actually thought I had. So I was freaking out for like 5 hours, waiting for the doctor to call me. And I contacted a friend, and I'm going over all the information with her. I'm playing Dr. Google. It was just a whole mess. But in that time, in that 5 hours, I came up with a better diet plan. I came up with the fact that I need to drink more water. I think I probably drank like 2 gallons of water within that time span. I was realizing at that moment the things that I wasn't doing that I should have been doing, and I needed to prioritize my health. So I came up with a better plan on what time I was going to eat, how late I was going to eat, things like that. And what ended up happening was my doctor called, and the only thing that I was really should worry about, or that she was concerned about, was my vitamin D and my B12 levels, which are extremely low. So ladies, especially African American women, please get some sun, get some vitamin D. I don't like to take vitamins and medicine and medications. I kind of proud myself on the fact that I'm not on any medications, but the fact is that they are needed in order for you just to balance the nutrients and the minerals in your body. So please go out there and do that. So that's basically what my weekend was about, freaking out and sharing some time with my thoughts, my family, and my friends. And tell me, what did you guys do this Memorial Day? I hope that you were able to unwind for a little bit, because it was 3 days. So you get 2 days to kind of party, and then that third day to relax and kind of just sit with yourself for a little while. So I hope that you had the opportunity to do so. It is so very important. So many of us are so busy. We got so many things on our plates. And I've been honoring mothers this month, and that I've been honoring the fact that we give so much of ourselves daily, not just to our children, but to our husbands and our siblings and our co-workers and everyone else in our lives. And we very rarely take the time to sort of sit with ourselves and replenish all that we have released to others. So I want to keep that conversation going, considering, we only have today or tomorrow for May, and we're going to go right into June. I wanted to end it speaking with this amazing woman who I feel is the epitome of the strength of a woman and a mother. She is here today, and we're going to be talking about a mother's strength. Her name is Tanika Steele. Tanika Steele is a mother of 6, grandmother of 4, author, public speaker, life coach, and CEO of Steele Educational Consulting. She has over 29 years of experience working with at-risk children and families from communities all over Nassau and Suffolk counties. Over the past decade, Tanika has worked as a child care director and educational consultant, creating professional development trainings and workshops for public schools, Head Starts, and preschool programs around the United States, as well as literacy programs for children and adults. Tanika is a published author and has been in O Magazine for her volunteer work in community. She believes your passion will always be what drives you. It will bring you joy and complete happiness. She is here to share the strength of a mother. Please help me welcome the beautiful Miss Tanika Steele. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you. You see how happy I am. I'm stumbling all over my words. I got to take a drink. Your bio, of course. Again, I tried to read it without my glasses on. I very rarely do that. But it is so great to have you here. I so appreciate you being here. As I mentioned, it's about mothers and women and the strength that we have to have in order to just tackle our day-to-day activities, our lives, our health, and our family. So I thought that you would be the perfect person to talk about that.
Well, thank you.
You've been through so much. And again, as I read in your bio, 6 kids, 4 grandkids. You would never know it by looking at this amazing, fabulous woman. But you have been through some things that taught you some lessons, which brought you to this fabulous point that you are at right now, correct?
Yes.
Yep. So this is
That is
why
true.
we're here. So before we get into the actual meat of the story, I've been asking my guests about their experiences motherhood, as a mother and with motherhood. When you were growing up, your mom, you're looking at her, you're seeing that she's taking care of everyone. She's providing this nurturing and this protection. At that moment as a child, did you really understand what a mother's role was or how important it was?
I don't think anybody actually really understands what that role looks like until they're in it. Yeah. We criticize our moms a lot, I think, because we don't really know until we become moms what the depths of being a mom actually entails. And I would have to say that was it for me. You know, I would like, oh, I would never do that as a mom, or I'm not going to do that when I have kids. And then you have kids and you are your mom.
Yeah.
You literally turn into your mom. Your kids aren't sleeping in anybody's house. You need to have all the phone numbers. You need to meet all the parents and all the things that you thought were silly or, you know, were too much as a child. You realize as a parent, when you become a parent, how important they are. But then you also don't know how much effort and sweat and blood and tears that your mom puts into things either. So that quickly becomes a reality as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I just spoke to my niece today, and, you know, she's so excited, you know, finally found a path in her life and is working on this nonprofit, and she's just so passionate about it, and she's been through some things, and my cousin always tried to, you know, just push and pull and share the information that she needed in order to be a well-rounded and successful young lady without having to go through all the issues that she went through. And she just wanted to do it her way. And today she actually said to me, I now understand what my mother was trying to teach me back then and what she was saying and why it was so important that I went to school, I got my education, I, you know, got a good job. I did these things so that I wouldn't be struggling now. So I think that's wonderful. So when you're growing up, your mother, you're seeing that she's instilling in you these things that obviously we do for our kids that she did not have, and she wanted you to kind of discover. So what were those things, if you don't mind sharing?
I think my mom, what her main goal with us is that she just wanted us, like you said, to not have to struggle, to not have hard times, for things not to be tight for you, because she knew what that was like. You know, my mom also had, you know, a number of kids, and it wasn't, you know, she kind of was like, okay, you know, if I'm going to be at work or if I'm going to be doing this, then I want you guys to make sure, you know, you're getting great grades in school. You're, you know, everything was lined up in a row. So we did get that part from her and the hard work portion. But when you are a single mom, your day doesn't end when everyone else's day ends. And your day doesn't start when everyone else's day starts. Your day runs much longer, and it starts, you know, way earlier. And before you get up, in your mind is always running through all the different things that, you know, you need to do, especially when you have 6 children like me. Everybody has an individual need. You know, it's not the same needs. So you're keeping that in mind. So I think one thing that I can stick out that my mom really taught me is that, you know, just be a support. Be a support first. And then, you know, each one of your children has a different personality. So you have to see where you're going to fill in to be that support. And for each one of them is different. You know, whether you have 2 children or 6, you know,
you're right.
How they need you to support them is going to look different. It's going to feel different, you know, so just being aware of that.
I love that. I love that, because that is so true. And a lot of parents need to realize that now it's not a one-size-fits-all for our children. And if you have 2 or 3 of them, you must hear them and listen to them and let them voice what they need and what they like and what they dislike. And not just all the time, you know, what do you say, reusing, refurbishing old clothes, old books, old thoughts, old ideas. So yeah, I think that's important. So you're growing up, you're now a teenager, you're a little girl. What are your hopes? What are your dreams?
I think when I was a teenager, my goal was always to be a teacher. You know, I just was like, oh, you know, that's what I want to do. That was my dream job. And I had a couple of really strong, solid teachers in my life that I was just amazed with, and I just felt like, you know, the impression that they made on me, I wanted to be able to make that impression on someone else. So it wasn't, you know, that wasn't the actual journey that I took in the beginning. You know, you do different things, especially when you have children young. You know, you do what fits, you know, your lifestyle at that time and what's more, you know, more efficient, and it's, you know, more supportive for them. But that was always my dream, was to be able to teach.
And you're actually doing it. And
I'm doing it now.
Yes, you are. And after 6 kids and 4 grandkids and all of the education, all of just everything that you had to pour into not just yourself, but your family at the same time, I think is spectacular and commendable. I think you are a superwoman, my friend. I truly do. So she said it, 6 children. You had your first child very young.
I did.
Tell us about that. I mean, we're talking about motherhood this month. Tell us a little about what it was like to be a young mother and your expectations, you know, at that time.
I don't think I really knew what the expectations were. I'm the oldest of my mom's children, so I think sometimes you feel like being an older sibling and having to sometimes step in to take care of your younger siblings. Like you got it down pat. You don't. You have no clue what that looks like until you are the one getting up in the middle of the night and you're trying to figure it out. And I was still in high school, so just trying to tell myself, okay, I want to finish school. Like I need to finish school for my daughter. She was my oldest. She's 30 now. Wow. I want to finish school and I want to have a successful life for her. So that became my focus. But then like, how do you get there? Yeah. You know, and I will never forget this. I had a teacher in 9th grade. She was my social studies teacher. And she basically told me that I would never amount to anything because I was pregnant. I wouldn't graduate high school. Wow. I would, I'd be on welfare, and I would just, you know, I would never go any further than where I was. And I could have taken that and been like, oh, you know what, she's right. But that's instead, I was like, oh no. Yes, I'm going to make sure that I graduate. Not only do I graduate, I'm going to get my college degree, and I'm going to show her that, you know, not only did I succeed, but I did above what her expectations could have possibly been, you know. So sometimes those negative comments are what you need to drive you forward, and that's what she did for me.
I say it all the time. I say it all the time, and that is important. Those challenges, those adversities, those people, those naysayers, those negative Nellies out there that are trying to determine who and what you are before even knowing you, and just really just pressing upon you their beliefs and their thoughts. It's sad, but I love the fact that you use that as your fuel to just fire you and catapult you into your dreams, because a lot of people don't do that. They allow that to kind of, you know, make them feel less than, increase their, you know, lack of confidence, you know, and it's really, really sad. So please listen to what she just said. It fueled her, it encouraged her, it just made you want to pursue it even more.
It definitely did, and it just kind of set the precedent that anytime I hear anything negative or anytime I hear a no, that's not where I end it. You know, you're gonna hear a ton of no's, but whether or not you stop at that 10th no or that 20th no, you know, that's, you know, that becomes your choice.
Yeah, I love that. So now you're a young mother, and I know that it was hard. You also helping to take care of your siblings as well, right? And now you have a baby of your own, and you want to pursue this dream. You want to prove this teacher wrong. What was that like at that time? Like, did you understand that weight?
It was hard because I was still going to school, and I had this new baby who didn't sleep at night, and I was working part-time too. And I was trying to graduate early because I was like, you know what, I'm going to finish. Right. So it was a lot of stress. You know, it was. But the end reward, oh my gosh, the end reward was so worth it.
Oh my goodness.
You know, all the time and the, you know, sleepless nights, you know, it was worth it.
I love it.
You know, when I look back on it now, those steps were necessary to get me where I am today. And I kind of look at, like, if I didn't have my daughter, where would I be right now? Because it really just added fuel, you know, to me to be able to do what I needed to do and be successful.
No, I agree with that. I feel everything happens for a reason.
100%.
And that was a blessing regardless. And again, look at where you are right now. Look at what you've achieved. Imagine if there wasn't a teacher that had said that to you, and it was just, you know, you're going to get by, you're going to be fine, you're going to be okay. Just get a degree and be a teacher. This is all you wanted to be, and you're so much more right now. So I think that's fabulous. I do. I think that was something that a lot of young girls need right now, that encouragement constantly in their ear, someone in their school, someone in their family, even if you're a single mom and you're going through some challenges, because it's going to be hard. It's hard for people who are not single, who are married, who, you know, 100%. Have a support system.
It's hard for people who are in their 30s.
Thank you.
So I don't ever put an age, because people will say all the time, oh, teenage moms. No, it's hard for women in general. You could have, you know, your career together, and you could have, you know, be in the best situation financially. It's still going to be sometimes a struggle. So
yeah, so it's always going to be a challenge. So I love that you kept going. So now you're achieving your dreams, and you're now what? Because this is your first child. By your what? Second, third child. When did you graduate with your degree?
I started going to school going back to college, when my fourth son, who's now 26, when he was like 3 years old, 2.5, 3.
Wow.
And I was actually pregnant with my fifth. So when I had him, I literally was in class with him in the car seat, still finishing up papers, doing what I needed to do.
Oh my God.
And I finished my bachelor's at that point. And then, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, you know, went back and online I did my master's. So I did my master's while I was working full time and raising my kids.
Did you have any help? I mean, you were married at the time,
At the time
right?
I was married, yes.
Yeah, so you did.
So
you
I did have
assistance.
help.
Okay.
And it was, you know, he tried to help as much as he can, but guys are, and this is, you know, the thing, it's like, you know, they work full time, so you're working full time, they're working full time, and it's kind of always falls on the mom to, you know,
To be the
to
caretaker.
make sure that there's dinner ready, to make sure the kids' laundry's done, make sure their homework's done, to make sure that the house is clean, to make sure if they have to run to sports or whatever it is, they can help out where they can, but most of the time, you know, kids want their moms. They want their moms to do it. So I would have to do those things and then probably be up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, finishing up papers, making sure that I handed everything in, and then, you know, getting their stuff together for the next day. So it was rough. And I'm not gonna lie, when I finished my master's, I was like, I got a lot of time, a lot of free time, a lot of free time to do stuff.
I know
You know, you don't realize how much, you know, really time and effort you're putting into it, but
You better take
Yeah.
advantage of it too. You better take advantage of
Yes.
that time. So I need to know where you got that tenacity, that energy, that fire to just keep going even when your plate is so full. Did your mother show you that? Was that the example, or did you sort of set your own?
I have very strong women in my family in general.
Okay.
My mom, my grandmother, my aunt, who is also an educator, she's a teacher, have always encouraged me to move forward.
Okay.
You know, so I've always had that, you know, that voice in the background kind of cheering me on. And even when I felt like I couldn't do it, I'll get that phone call or I'll get that, you know, that text message, you know, I love you and I'm thinking of you and you're doing great, you're doing amazing. So even if we're not talking, because, you know, life is crazy and you're all over the place, I always have that support. You know, so that's always been, you know, always been the case. So even if I had some negativity out in the world, I always had positive
support with your
role
family.
models and family, you know, and my family.
That's
You know,
fabulous.
so that's always been a plus for me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's important as well because it makes you realize that you can do it. And to me, you don't want to fail. You know,
No.
you don't.
No, I don't. I don't want to fail.
You literally do not want to fail when you know you have so much support and you have so many people that are encouraging you, because that's literally saying that they know you can do it. Now stand up and just do it.
But the most important push for me is my kids. You know, they're mostly adults now. My younger two are 18 and 13. But when they were younger, my biggest thing was making sure that they had a mom that they could be proud of. You know, a mom that they knew, you know, went to bat for them, wanted to make sure that I was showing them how the world worked. You know, so they were my motivation more than anything else. You know, that they saw that if my mom could do it. You know, that was like, my daughter was big, like, my mom could do it. My mom has 6 kids. You know, that was always her thing. Like, she didn't want to hear it. Like, if my mom can do it, and you know, that was like her catchphrase. She's like, my mom could do it.
Oh my God.
I could do it. You know. So I was like, well, you know, if that works, that's the catchphrase that works. So, you know, that's kind of what, you know, became like, my mom could do it. She had 6 kids. I got this.
That's right.
You know, and, you know, now she's a nurse and she's a police officer. So, you know, she's, you know, I know that I've instilled that, that work ethic.
Right.
That's so important.
Yeah, that is hilarious, but I love that because it's so true. Like, you have no excuse at this point. You have 1 or 2 kids, or even one kid for that matter. I'm sitting here talking about how exhausting your whole day sounds, and it does for 6 kids and 4. But again, look where you started, and look what you did it for a reason. There was no other way for you to do it but to make sure that you completed it, and that to me is amazing. Me, again, it took my daughter, I will say, with Your Unity, because for years I had this idea and I said, I think I want to bring the world together and I want us all to love each other, and I'm good. She's like, Mommy, you could do it. You can do it. Just do it. Just step out and just be faithful, and you will, and I just, okay, I think I will. And it took that push from her. But I agree with you as well. I want her to be proud of me. So that is also why I'm now stepping out of my fear and actually walking in faith, because I see that children are watching, you know, your children are actually watching. And I'm so glad that you took that as a note that, look, whatever I do, I'm doing it for them. And I want to make sure that they see me as the example. We need that in a lot of families right now, especially dealing with certain situations and struggles in their life, you know?
And I think the key, too, is that we all get dealt a hand of cards, you know, and we could say, oh, I got the worst hand and I'm never going to move past this because this is the worst hand. Or you could look at that hand and make the choices that are going to positively affect your family, or change your hands. You know, you have that option to be able to do that. But, you know, if you go just based on what you're given and you don't move outside of that box, you know, and I could have made that choice, you know, but that was just a choice that I was just like, I'm not gonna, there's other options. We can do more. You know, you got to step outside of your comfort zone, you know, and that's not always the most comfortable thing to do. But once you get past that point of just feeling uncomfortable, there's so many things out there. There's so much out there.
You are absolutely right. And it's just a rewarding feeling as well when you finally step outside of your comfort zone. And that's also when you know the blessings are going to pour down, because that's how I feel. I feel once I finally broke out of that fear and just stepped out and stood proud in what I believed and what I thought and what I knew God had already put in me, I felt I was stronger. I felt also that there was nothing going to make me want to stop, number one, and make me believe that I can't do it, and that someone out there is not going to have my back or believe in what I'm trying to do. And that was very important to me as well, because sometimes, you know, you have supporters and they say they encourage you, but they're really not, you know, as supportive as they actually could be. So
they might not be supportive at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, yeah, girl, you know, we with you. That sounds great. Exactly. And you walk away and they're like, I don't know what she's talking about.
What she's talking about.
And that's okay too. You
know,
but you have to stay focused and grounded in what you know, and what you have planned for. And I'm not gonna lie, when my kids were small, it was very difficult to do things because you have small kids. You know, but when you start, you know, planning and organizing and getting yourself to the point where, you know, they're a little bit older, I have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more freedom. You know, what do I want to do? You know, the planning process, nothing wrong with taking your time to plan. And getting prepared, you know, for when you do have the time and the space to be able to do that.
That's important too. I'm glad that you said that, because not everyone is able at that, you know, that moment, especially if they're going through something, some type of struggle or trial, are able to just pick up and just move on and pursue their dreams. There are little things that they have to handle, obstacles that they have to go through and overcome. So I get that. And that's kind of how I feel. Life does happen, you know, and unfortunately the path that we prayed for is not necessarily the path that we choose. And so we just have to pivot, navigate a different path until we get to that point where we can plan, can reach that goal. Can pursue that purpose. So I agree, and I love that you said that. So now you have your degree, you're now teaching. I understand you're creating workshops and facilitating. And
I
speaking.
do. That's my sweet spot.
I love it. Yes.
I love that. That's my sweet spot.
That is amazing. And again, reaching these little kids, reaching these young minds. Tell me about that. How does that make you feel? And, you know, what does your job actually entail?
Okay, so I have worked in early childhood probably for the last almost 30 years. So I have a lot of experience working, and you know, the fact that I have my own children, I have a lot of experience working with children. And just one part of me was like, you have all of this knowledge, you know, as a director, you have all this knowledge as a teacher, you have all this knowledge as a family advocate. Why not share that with professionals who are just getting into the field? Either they're just getting into the field, or, you know, they're seasoned and they're just not really like kind of like feeling comfortable and fulfilled in their space. So my goal is to be able to provide training for them, to provide training for public schools, Head Starts, preschools, anyone who's working with children or in that, you know, capacity, and on a number of topics, whether it's, being a leader, but in a diverse and equitable way. Like, what does that look like for your staff?
Right.
How do you work with challenging behaviors in the classroom, without, totally pulling from yourself? Because, you bring these babies home with you.
Yeah.
In your mind, in your heart, you bring them home
Yeah.
with you. How do you, separate home from work and still, be full?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's a very draining position. So
Right.
my goal is to be able to train them in what I've learned that keeps me sane,
Right.
and what I've seen works for my staff
Yeah.
in the past,
I love that. So you were able to inject the personal experiences as well as the education that you have into your position. So how does that make you feel? Like, tell me what is so rewarding about what you do and important.
The most rewarding part is, people, you see that light come on in their eyes when you're talking about situations or scenarios like, wait a minute, like that's my classroom, or wait a minute,
Right.
that's my, my building, or wait a minute, that's my director.
Right.
And they kind of find that connection with you, and they're like, okay, she understands. So
Right.
like, what can I pull from this that I could take back to make my, and I think right now, childhood is a field where we are losing so many staff. People are quitting by the boatloads,
Yes.
and taking care of other people's children is one of the most important jobs that you can, teaching is one of the most important jobs that you could have, but they're burnt out.
Yeah.
Staff are really burnt out. So my
And
goal,
underpaid.
yes.
Okay.
100%.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's a huge reason. But people, not just for money, but are also there because they want they have a purpose. They want to feel like they're fulfilled in their work.
Right.
And people not feeling fulfilled, I don't care how much money you're paying them, at some point they're just like, this isn't working.
Right, right.
So my goal is to kind of give them some of that fulfillment back. Like, if they don't see it, what are ways that they can regain it back for themselves?
Right. I love that. So what are some of the ways that they can regain that back? Because again, everyone's situation is different, obviously. Your, household looks different and your responsibilities look different. So what are your suggestions? And, just small information, little
Right.
tidbit of information. What would you share?
Well, the first piece is balance.
Okay.
I tell people this all the time. When you have too much work and not enough play, or too much play and not you need balance between the two.
Yes.
And that's the hardest part for most people, is balancing that work-life dynamic.
Yeah.
We could have, everybody thinks that they're, doing great things when they have their to-do list. They're checking off all that, they're busy, and they're checking things off. So, they're getting things done, but they're tired.
Yeah.
They're exhausted. They're overstimulated. They're like, so you have to really balance and prioritizing what's important. Just because it's on that list doesn't mean it has to get done today.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean the world's going to end tomorrow if it doesn't get done. So those two are one of the two major things, are balance and, just trying to, prioritize. Changes your day tremendously.
Yeah. No.
From
you're
that
absolutely right.
stressed, overwhelmed feeling that you get. And some people are stressed and overwhelmed before they even step in the door and clock in. And it's because they're already thinking about all of the things they're going to have to deal with before they come in. Mindset is everything.
Yeah.
So even if I didn't like my job, that's not how I'm getting in my car
Right.
and I'm heading to work, because that's going to set the dynamic for your whole day.
Yeah.
So I get my jams going and I start thinking about all the things I love about my job before I get there.
Yes.
And you put yourself in a mindset where you're happy to see everyone there, even if you're not.
Yeah.
You're happy to to be in that space.
Yeah.
And I then think about all the families that we service and how important what we do for them is. That also keeps you accountable and keeps you in a good space. So those three things I would say are the tops, but then you have all of, your other little technical and dynamic things.
That's wonderful. Well, I think that you are doing a wonderful job. We do need these kids to just be poured into with the love, the knowledge, the tools, the resources, everything that they should have in order to just be grounded and well-rounded children in the future. Kids who are going to promote this peace and this unity and this compassion and this empathy that we need in this world so bad. And that is my mission. solution somehow is to take them back, replant them, reroot them. I don't know what we have to do, but we have to do it. And I'm glad that there's people like you out there that making sure that it's happening. So you know, got to this point, obviously, that you realized that you needed this balance in your life for a reason.
Yes.
Where and when did it happen? I understand you had a horrible medical issue years ago, and I'm sure that brought you to this healthy mind, body, and spirit and centered person that you are today. But if you don't mind sharing, tell us a little about that. I mean, we are talking about balance. We're talking about a woman's strength. Tell me about what you endured and how that made you stronger.
So, the year that I turned 40, I suffered a mini stroke. And then a couple of days later, I had another very small, minor stroke after that. Wow. And that was really the wake-up call, you know, because I was working. I was a single mom. I was divorced at this time. I was working 6 days a week, 10, 11, you know, sometimes 12-hour days, leaving one job, you know, going home, making dinner, going back to work. It just was just a very, and I'm one of those people, like, I kind of retain my stress. My stress is all on the inside. I'm not somebody, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to scream, I'm not going to, everything is kind of like, you know, kind of inside. And then, you know, once it gets to that point where I guess, like, you know, it just kind of explodes, it does, but it always explodes in either health or, you know, something with body, you know, health related. And for weeks, literally weeks before that happened, I didn't have vision in one eye when I would wake up in the mornings, but, you know, I chalked it up, oh, I'm, you know, checking emails and it's, you know, dark in the room and, you know, would come back. Migraines, you know, that weren't, you know, they'd go away for a little bit, but they'd come right back. All signs of stroke. I didn't know they were signs of stroke, but at that time, signs of stroke, and I just was ignoring them and I was just pressing on and, you know, you're doing what you have to do. You're taking care of your household, you're taking care of your kids. And then, you know, I had it and, you know, it was a shock. I had paralysis on one side of my face. I would have to tape my eye closed at night to go to sleep because it didn't close.
Wow.
So it was, you know, and then I had to look at that person every morning for like a couple months because I started getting acupuncture to kind of get back some of the mobility to my face and stuff. And I just was like, we had a lot of conversations, me and that woman.
Wow. What did you say to that woman? What did you say to that woman?
That woman, I was like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself?
Yes.
You know, and I, you know, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. I was like, these kids cannot wipe your butt if you can't take care of yourself. Like, they can't wheel you around. They can't, you know, they're not at the capacity to be able to do that for you. You're still doing that for them.
Exactly.
You know, so then I had to, you know, they have that saying, you know, when you're on the plane, you're on a flight, and you're like, oh, you have to put your, you know, your oxygen mask on first, and I'm always in my head like, I'm gonna put my kids' oxygen mask on first, and then I'm gonna do mine because I'm a mom. That's what moms do. No.
Yep. Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. And I had to just make that a reality for myself. I love my junk food. I love, you know, my ring dings, my Hershey bars, I had to cut a lot of that out. I'm not going to say I don't have it because I do have it occasionally, but I don't have it as much as I had it. I had to have a healthier diet.
Yes.
And I had to figure out ways that when I feel like I'm overwhelmed with stress, I'm like, yeah, no, what? Not today.
Yeah.
And I even told my boss when it happened, I was like, if I start feeling like I'm stressed out, I'm out. I'm going home.
Right.
And you know, she doesn't argue with me.
Right.
But you have to put yourself in a space where you're putting yourself first.
Yes.
And those were the conversations I was having with her probably for like 2 months. Every morning I would get up and I was like, oh, I look horrible. Like, look at my face. Like, that was my main concern, was like, I have to go outside looking like this. And I'm like, that should not be your main concern.
That's right. How do you feel?
Right. How do you feel? Like, it's not about what your face looks like.
Thank you.
You know, and once I got past, like, okay, you got paralysis, but what is the real problem? And the real problem was you have too much stress. Yeah. You're not taking time for yourself. You're not shutting things down at a time that you need to be shutting things down. You're not making your kids be more accountable for the things they have to do. I was a mom that, like, I would run behind them and, you know, clean up and do dishes and, you know, do all the things. You guys want me to make dinner? Yeah. Those dishes gotta be out the sink.
That's right.
You know, I had to start putting things into place. Right. And I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy. It was a job.
Yeah, an adjustment for everyone.
It was an adjustment for everyone.
Yes.
But But when you start saying, like, you know, do you want your mom, do you want me to stay like this? Or do you want to have to take care of me? Or do you want to not have a mom?
Yeah.
You know, and then that was the real reality, was like, what are they going to do without you?
Yeah.
You know, so how do you put things in place so
Right.
that's not an issue? So that you can be here for a long enough time. So I can see my grandkids. So I have grandkids now.
Exactly, because there are more to come, my friend.
Right.
So what I want to understand is, you did say that you noticed, obviously, the vision, and you noticed the headaches, but what was your body feeling like inside? Because a lot of people have a high tolerance for pain.
I do have a high tolerance for pain, so I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything going on. I actually was having a conversation with my daughter. It was like the end of the day, and she's like, you know, your speech is really slurred.
Wow.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Because in my mind, I didn't hear it. It was
Yes.
very clear, like I was very pronounced. And she said, no, your speech is really slurred. Like, I can't really understand what you're saying.
Wow.
And at the time, she was, you know, going to school for nursing. And she's like, I think you're having a stroke. Like, she's like, she told me, because I'm still like, I'm fine.
And just calm and no, I feel fine.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm fine.
What are you saying? Did you go look at yourself in the mirror? Did you
No,
realize?
I didn't do any
You
of
didn't
that.
do
I will tell you
anything.
though, because I'm stubborn, I did drive myself to the emergency room. Because I'm stubborn, and I went, and as soon as I walked in, they immediately saw it when I came in.
Wow.
And they rushed me, they rushed me back. But I was still like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm gonna take myself to the ER.
You are Superwoman.
But then, you know, reality hits when they're
Yeah.
starting to pump you with meds, you know,
Right.
and they're doing, you know, all those things, and they're like, you know, once I actually did look at myself, I was
Right.
like, wow.
I know that's right.
know.
So, I mean, so young, and thank God you are okay. And all it took for you was to just scale back some, you know.
Well,
and
I say
to-
that every day.
Yes, that's
It could have been
all
so much. It
took.
could have been so much worse.
Yes, and it is a blessing, because a lot of people out there don't get that second chance. So that is a blessing. And you said that you didn't just have one; you had two.
So I had a major one on the first day, and then I started to not feel good again a couple days later. And when I went in, they were like, "Oh, you kind of had like another little mini stroke."
Right.
Because then I started getting the migraines back again, and they kind of kept me, you know, not over for the full day, but they kind of just kept me to monitor me for a little bit.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, you need to, like, what can you change? And really, life-changing decisions are more, you do little things, you know, every day.
Right.
You do a little bit.
Right.
It's not, you know, an overhaul, because none of us can, you know, do our overhauls. But, you know, if
Exactly.
you're changing one little thing a day,
Yeah.
you know, in the end, it makes that difference.
And it's obtainable at that point. So yeah, just small little things. So what was the most challenging for you once you realized that, look, seriously, I have to relax, I have to take care of myself, I cannot be everything to everyone? What was the most challenging for you, sort of, to let go, maybe, of?
Girl, all of that. all of the above. Because when you have kids,
Right.
you know, there are 24 hours in a day, but I think in a mom's eyes, we really think that there's like 48 hours in a day, and we can
Right.
keep squeezing things in, and we can keep doing things. And I had to stop doing that. Like, when I get tired, okay, things have to get shut down. You stop trying to still add things to your day.
Right.
You know, and that was, you know, and I'm guilty of it sometimes now, but I'm like, okay, at this time, I'm going to start shutting things down. Like, I have to, like, physically tell myself, okay, it's 9 o'clock. What else are you going to do before it's your bedtime? And I have like a little alarm set on my phone, like, to tell me, okay, like, even if I'm not paying attention, it's your bedtime.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
time to wind down.
It's time to wind down.
Yeah.
And I have to start cutting things out, because otherwise I'll just, you know, you'll keep doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I started, you know, planning out my days.
Okay.
So I might not get everything done on, you know, what I have planned out, but I make it so that I'm not going to do more than what's
Right.
on that day.
I get it.
You know, because we all
And you
like,
never divert from the plan. Anyone else tries to throw anything on your plate, you say no. I love that.
and it's okay to say no.
Yeah, no, it is. Tell us how important it is. How important it is for us to say no, because that's the challenge sometimes too. We don't want to let anyone down.
Right.
We don't want to disappoint anyone. Tell us about the no.
The no in the beginning is hard. But you have to realize that the no is not to hurt anybody. The no is really to help you.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to give other people, you want to pour into other people's glasses, your glass actually has to be full first.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're pouring from empty glasses, we're pouring from empty cups, or we're like getting the last drip out to give someone else, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, so in the beginning, no is very hard. You know, and you'll see people, their faces are turned up, you know, their feelings are hurt, and you have to be like, I just can't. I can't give you any more than what I have, and I don't really have any more left. And if, you know, you have to get to that point where if they don't understand it,
Right.
it has to be on them.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes a little bit to adjust to that, but in the long run, it is the most beneficial thing that you can do for yourself.
No, I totally agree with that, and I can see it. What was the best thing that you've gained out of this process, out of that experience? Like, what was your lesson, and what was your blessing?
My lesson is that this experience wasn't just for me. There are so many other people out here that are going through and dealing with the same thing. They're single moms. They're stressed. They're overwhelmed. They're not taking care of themselves, health-wise. So when I tell people what happened to me, and they go, "Oh my God, like you're young."
Yes.
I don't feel young, but I'm young.
You're young.
You know, they're like, "You're young," and I'm like,
She's young folks, right?
But they're like, "Oh my God, you're young." But I've actually heard stories of people in their 35, 30, 20s having strokes, and because of stress. So I feel like me being able to share that has changed the course of what a lot of people were doing.
Right.
And they might not take all of it, but they realize like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, this is serious, and it could happen. You know, it could happen. You know, to me or to anyone in my family. And I've seen people share my story with other people. Like, listen, I've been telling my mom, or I've been telling my sister, or I've been telling so and so they need to slow down. So I feel like it happened to me, but it didn't happen to me. It happened to me so I could, share with other people.
Right, right.
So yes.
I love that. And that is the blessing, the fact that you're helping others, they can relate to your story, because again, strokes and heart attacks and stuff doesn't look like you, it doesn't look like a 40-year-old. It doesn't look like, a beautiful woman pursuing her dreams. It doesn't look like that. It looks like, an older person who smokes and drinks, and that's not true.
And that was the biggest thing when I went. I did not have high blood pressure. I did not have high cholesterol.
You see?
I was not overweight. So all of the things that they were like, oh, that definitely, I could see why they would have a stroke. And even the specialist was like sitting there scratching his head, and he's like, you don't have any and then he was like, are you really stressed? And that was the first thing that he said to me. And I'm like, well, who doesn't have stress? I have kids. I work.
Of course I have stress. It's my middle name.
And he was like, you have too much stress. Yeah. He's like, and that's what's gonna kill you. And that's literally what he said to me. He's like, you're gonna have to learn how to cut some of these things out. He goes, because you don't have any of the other health factors.
Well, think about that. Visualize that. You literally jumped over all those other underlying health issues, horrible, harmful health issues, straight to stress, and still achieve the same illness, the same problem.
Yeah.
So then that is, not only do you have a high tolerance for pain, and there's a lot of women out there, I have so many friends that are like that. You have a high tolerance for pain, but you're also very determined, obviously, because your body was telling you something.
And I was skipping right over that.
Yes, and that's why I was saying, with my little health concern with the diabetes this past week, which it's not funny, but it's funny to me because this poor lady is trying to calm me down over something that I had already convinced myself that I had. But the fact is that we, for the most part, are in control of that stuff. We know when something's not right. The only reason why I took the test in the first place was because my feet was tingling a little bit, and I was going to the bathroom a lot, and all of these things for it to be negative. But the fact is that make the plan. Actually follow through with your...
the most important thing is that you were listening to your body.
Yeah, I did.
And it doesn't matter that it turned out to not be that. You actually were listening to what was going on with you. And that's what a lot of us don't do. We see things that are happening with us that are not the norm, and we ignore it and keep moving forward. If you see it and you know that it's not right and that's not what you normally feel like, and you don't normally, have tingling or a little bit of sharp or tightness in your chest or any of those things, make sure you get those things checked out early. You don't wait until it's where they're taking you in an ambulance.
Exactly.
Or somebody has to take you to the ER. You want to jump on it, early, because, an ounce... prevention.
That's right. It's worth a cure. And let me tell you, that's exactly how I feel. The slightest discomfort I feel, if a Advil doesn't take it away for that first time. Because if I'm taking an Advil over and over again, then there's a problem.
Right.
So if it doesn't take care of the problem, then yes, I'm going to the doctor. And I really advise everyone to do that, because you never know. You could look good, you could feel good. You was feeling fine. We come up with excuses all the time for just, just feeling not well, unhealthy, not feeling our best. And what we need to do is to investigate and figure out why. There could be so many numbers off the charts without you even knowing. My vitamin D is a 17.
Well, that's because we need sun.
I know,
When
but
I
still.
went, mine was low too, and he was like, you want to take a vitamin D? I said, no, I just want to go to the beach. I just want to go to the beach
Let
and
me
get
tell you
some
something.
sun.
We have to stay on the beach for a whole year, and I mean literally on that beach for a year, in order for us to get the type of vitamin D that we need. It's also in the foods or
you
vegetables.
Need to take it. Like,
yes, you need to
you
take
need to
it.
take it.
But the crazy part is I'm so shocked that my body doesn't feel that it needs it, and obviously,
well, because
it
we
does,
adjust.
though.
Because we adjust.
Yes.
What we lack in vitamins, whether it's iron or whatever it is, we kind of just, we refocus it around to, we get used to that feeling.
Oh my
But a lot of times we're, deficient in a lot of things, but we just adjust and keep moving,
Which is what you did. So tell us about how important it is to have work-life balance. Like how important, imperative, and just what do we need to do?
I think you have to really just look at, what's required of you at work, what's required of you at home, and you kind of have to see where your overwhelm point is, and you kind of have to skim some of that off. And that's really where it starts, skimming off that excess of what is going to take you to the point where you're stressed, you're overwhelmed. It's coming out in your health, it's coming out in your mood, and your, all of that. And you just peel back some of that a little bit at a time and kind of just see where you are. Because we all do it. You have your kids and you have work, and I have a lot of different projects like we all do. We have a lot of projects that we're working on, and we just keep thinking that we can add more and add more and add more. And then you get to that point where you're just like, wow, I have way too much on my plate right now. And I'm overwhelmed, and I'm tired, and I'm, and we kind of usually don't notice that until either something happens with your kids or you get sick.
Exactly.
Even if it's a cold, and then that's when you realize, like, I bit off too much. So you really just have to find that happy place in between where you're feeling fulfilled, but not overwhelmed. And you're also living your life and you're enjoying life too. And what does that look like for you? And that's different for everybody. So you really have to do like that process of elimination, like put everything down where you could see it. And see what's important, see what you need, see what you don't need. And see where you want your life to be. And how you're going to get there without putting that excess on, and that's a process, so I think anybody that I work with, whether I'm coaching or whether I'm doing training, making it visible what that looks like first is where you start.
I agree, and I think that also, each plan is different for each person, and I think that's also, important to note that the thing that's going to work for me is not necessarily going to work for you, but at least try something, at least take the opportunity and the time to go out there and find those things that are going to make you feel the happiness that you need to feel inside, feel the weight of everything actually be removed from your body, and also replenish yourself with all the goodness that's out there and the joy that you're seeking, that that you can actually have if you just allow it into your life without overworking yourself and being there for everyone else. It's important that we take some time for ourselves. So I love that you say that. So we got a few minutes. We all about balance and just being healthy and just mind, body, and spirit. What would you like to share with us before we go? Like, what is important to note, or what is on your mind?
I would say that the most important thing is figuring out what makes you happy. What makes you happy, because nobody else can do that for you. So you have to find that space where you just feel like you're in complete happiness, whether it's, in the type of work that you're doing, whether it's with your family, whether it's different things that you want to do in your community. Whatever that space looks like for you, you have to find that for yourself. And once you find that space, kind of everything else falls into place, you know? Your home life's going to fall into place, work falls into place, your friendships fall into place, because you have to be in that really great space before you can kind of spill out into every place else. So that would be what my one thing would be to share.
I love that. And it brings about inner peace as well, because that's
yes.
all we're seeking, is just that inner peace. And I know with that work-life balance, life balance that you've been able to accomplish and you're now living on a daily basis, it has given you that inner peace.
Oh my goodness, I think I'm in the happiest place that I've ever, the happiest space that I've ever been in. And it's because I do take a lot of time for myself. And I mean, like, with just nobody else in my space. You know, I'll take like I take like an hour and a half a lot of times when the weather's beautiful like this, and I'll just do a walk by myself, just so that you can be in your own thoughts. You know, whether it's planning out your day, or, you know, if you have things going on with your kids, just kind of like just getting everything into a peaceful space, you know, before you start interacting with anybody else. You know, and just taking that time in the beginning of the day and taking that time in the end of the day for yourself. It's like, you have to. You know?
I agree. I did that this past weekend, and it was, you know, an emotional up and down roller coaster for me. I sat with my thoughts. I planned out, you know, the next couple of days and even beyond, and it was something that I really needed. And I feel like it cleared away the cobwebs. You know, it's preparing me for summer. Spring is gone. We're going into June, so it was something that was really, really needed. So I appreciate you saying that. I also appreciate you being here. Somebody's calling me. They know I got a show right now. I want you, Miss Tanika Steele, to tell us where we can find you. You have a website, and tell us a little about your business real quick. It is Steele Education.
Steele Educational Consulting. So I do work with programs, but I also work with individuals as well. You can find us on Instagram at Steele Ed Consult. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys. So come and see what we're doing. You know, follow us, connect with us, and I want to, you know, start sharing some of the trainings and the coaching sessions that we're going to be doing soon. So
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You've been a wealth of information. I know I was all over the place earlier, but it's all about the strength. I wanted everyone to know that we need to take care of ourselves, and we need to check on ourselves. So that is so important, and that's what Tanika has shared with us this evening. All right, so I want to get real quick to the Dare to Be You. And the Dare to Be You is, I'm going to try this again without my glasses. Successful mothers are not the ones that have never struggled. They are the ones that never give up despite the struggle. She is the epitome of that, my friends. She did not give up despite the struggle. 6 kids in. She has a master's degree in education. She is sharing the information that she's gained and she's learned, and not just from school, but also from her upbringing. And she's sharing it with not just the children, but also adults. So I'd like to thank you again for being here, Tanika. You've been so amazing. You will be back, my friend. There's so much more to talk about. You know that, right? You know that. But anyway, thank you so much. Look, guys, it is May 30th. It is the last day for me in this month. I want you guys to have an amazing rest of May. And remember that peace and love is in the palm of our hand. Let's go out there and be some love, share some love, and give some love. We will see you next week on You're Our Unity. Remember that I love you, and thank you for watching. Say good night, Tanika. Good night.
Strong Island Entertainment.